Double Mania! Hi friends! Welcome back to another episode of Humblebee Home and Garden. This episode we're going to take a look at my garden. We're going to look at my vegetable garden and take a look at some of the plants and flowers that I've planted with Paul this summer. I wanted to also mention that don't be scared to plant. Don't be scared to garden. A lot of people, when I mention it, say, well, I kill everything. Well, that's the start. You have to start somewhere and you have to learn. So through this season, Paul and I have both made some big fails and some big accomplishments. And guess what? Next year we're going to do even better. And I think that is where the joy of gardening comes from, is really realizing, hey, I can try again next summer or spring, or I've really learned this skill now. I've mastered this skill. I understand how plants work and what works and what does not work. So this episode is really aimed to showing our failures and our successes in our garden. Take a look, and I hope you really enjoy this episode. Hi friends, welcome to our garden. This is my favorite plant called the candy cane pepper. It has these beautiful variegated leaves and long bell-shaped peppers. It tastes very similar to bell peppers, and so far this has produced more pepper than my bell pepper plant. Marigolds, you'll notice, are throughout my garden bed. Marigolds are really great companion plants. They're easy to grow, they attract pollinators, and they also kill nematodes and other harmful insects to plants. Basil is a must-have in your garden. It is full of sun. It needs full sun, and moist soil. You want to pinch off the flower buds so that the basil plant keeps producing. Also, regular harvest is good. I have the Heatmaster tomato, which is a determinate variety of tomato, which means it's shorter, doesn't need pruning, but only has one flush of tomatoes for the season, and that's the end. These yellow bell peppers, did you know bell peppers all start off green, but as they ripen on their stem, they will turn different colors. This big boy tomato is huge. I have not had time to prune it this season. It will continue to grow and produce and grow and produce. Next season, I might choose to get maybe more determinate or smaller variety tomatoes versus such a ginormous plant. This burpless cucumber is had a little bit of sun scalding, as you can tell from the leaves, but has continued to produce cucumbers for me. This is our Limelight Prime hydrangea. I planted a lot of hydrangeas this season. They're a cold hardy, really amazing plant. Can take sun or cold. I call them green thumb plants or black thumb plants, meaning anybody can grow them. Here is some echinacea, and this is my bee balm. My mistake I made was putting this thing in a pot instead of in the ground, and it caused it to suffer a little bit. Sedums. Everybody should be growing sedums in their yard. They're just a wonderful type of stone-cropped plant. They are disease resistant. They actually, if you stick them in a bed, it will it will deter weeds from growing. Anybody can grow these, and I think they go up to a zone 11. Blue spruce, we got this baby for free. One of our neighbors had this in a pot, and this tree outgrew its pot, and the neighbors had no room in their yard to plant such a beautiful tree. So I gladly took it and we staked it to make sure that it will grow straight instead of, crooked, because I think it was growing a little crooked in the pot. This is our before, and look at our after. Paul and I worked really, really hard on this yard. We shaped out some flower beds along our front steps and planted a different variety of flowers. We have begonias, petunias, and zinnias. I think I have nasturtium flower. So you can take a tool and carve out different flower beds, which is what we did. You remove the sod, and then you can put different plants and flowers in this area. These petunias are called Easy Waves, and they're amazing. They just keep growing, and they look really beautiful against that little limelight hydrangea. This is the before, and if you notice the yellowing, keep an eye on that yellowing in the center of that plant. Now look at it. It's beautiful, right? I was worried that I was overwatering this plant, and I looked on the Proven Winners, which is the plant brand, and they said that's a normal feature of these little limes, is they'll get yellowing in the center as they start to produce their beautiful flower buds. This is our before flower garden. And now look at it. Look at those beautiful zinnias. These were all from seed packets, actually, just directly sowed into the ground. And look at the results, just gorgeous. I plant a lot of wildflowers in my garden as well. I got the wildflower seed packets and I just directly sowed them into the ground. They're very cost effective. Flower seed packets are like $1 or $2, couple bucks, and you can get these gorgeous flowers that produce all season long. Here's another look at our flower bed. And now look at it. Absolutely gorgeous. I have some calendula right there. That's great for soothing the skin. I'm actually making calendula salve, and I use it for diaper rash cream on Poppy. There's my little lilac as well. That will continue to get huge and produce beautiful lilac flowers. But here is my endless summer Macrophylla hydrangea, which is a lot more sensitive than those paniculatas that I have growing, like the limelights. Here's what the blooms look like. Unfortunately, when I planted it, we had this ginormous heat wave, but I knew that that they were sensitive plants, so I actually pruned off all the blooms on that plant before I planted it in the ground, and it actually saved the plant from going into shock. It did get a little bit of browning on the leaves, but it actually recovered because I told the plant to focus its energy on the root system instead of producing flowers as it was getting established into its new place. That's really important. If you want to plant flowers or plants, trimming off the blooms before you put them into the ground will help those plants survive shock. It tells the plant, focus on the root system instead of producing flowers. Look at those impatiens. I have hostas and impatiens in these entrance pots, and I just love them. Hostas are a perennial. They'll keep up going. Look at those. Those are my super bells when I first... Now look at them. Those are when I first planted them till now. They're just beautiful and huge and happy flowers, but I had budworms that got to them and ate up all the flowers. I used a pesticide called spinoside, which is actually an organic pesticide and it doesn't kill pollinators. And actually this plant recovered and produced more flowers. These are my lovey-dovey supertunias. Look at them. They just totally, you can't even see the pot anymore of which these grew in. Again, budworms love petunias. So you can keep an eye on if you see flowers that look eaten up or kind of little black specks all over your flowers, that's caterpillar poop, and you gotta treat your flowers for budworms. If you want to grow something for the first time and have a lot of confidence, try these Supertunia bubblegum. You'll never fail with growing those. They just turn out beautiful and last all season. Look at my banana trees. Those were a fun find. I think I got those for like 20 bucks because there was an amazing sale going on in a nursery. They just add a lot of aesthetic to your backyard. And my peppermint. Peppermint is also a wonderful herb to have, but it can be invasive. I recommend planting these in pots instead of in your flower beds, or if you have a space in your garden that you can just let that thing go, let it go. It has a lot of medicinal properties that you can look up. I'll do another video later on all my flowers and kind of what are some of the properties that these flowers have. Here's some more pots. My crabapple tree. Here's a failure. We planted this tree too deep. You should always have the root ball of the tree level with the grass in our zone. If you live in like Arizona, you want to have these kind of lower to collect water, but we get enough water, so the best way is planting these trees right at ground level. And you can tell that there is new growth happening on this tree, so it is growing and it is working, but I still have to keep a real close eye on it because I made a mistake in growing or planting the tree. Here's the before of our backyard. Here is it with the arborvitaes. And now look at our green, emerald green arborvitaes. They look beautiful, luscious and green. I can't wait for them to grow, and they'll create kind of like a privacy hedge for us, which was the goal. The next coming years we'll add some more trees to kind of complete the row. But I'm really happy. These were also on sale. I got them for $10 a tree. The place was like, oh, you know, we need to get rid of these trees and we'll give them to you for $10 a tree, which are normally, I think, 40 to 50 bucks a tree. So what a deal, right? It's always good to keep an eye out and kind of really circulate those garden areas because you can find amazing deals at nurseries. This is my large flower clematis. It has these amazing purple flowers, and it just is such a showstopper in our garden. It doesn't require a lot of attention from me, you know, watering, but my sprinklers seem to water them. If you have an area in your garden that does not drain well and you don't know what to plant, plant daylilies if it's in your zone. Daylilies can take that soggy soil. I call this area, I've given it to the beetles. There's like Japanese beetles on my plants. I'm too scared of them. So like I don't come over here and weed or anything like that. Sometimes that's okay to have a section of your yard given to the beetles because you'd rather have them there than in your vegetable garden. So far I haven't had any beetles in my vegetable garden. I think they're just happy in this section, so I don't touch it, I leave it alone. This is a limelight panicle hydrangea. Again, panicle hydrangeas are winter hardy. They can take full sun, they can take part sun. These are what I call a black thumb plant, meaning if you kill everything you plant, you won't kill these. They're amazing. They just need well-draining soil, and they do thrive more in sun. This is my lavender crush climbing rose that I planted in memory of my father when he passed away. This plant has totally healed my soul. It was my first plant that I really planted and started falling in love with seeing the growth in these beautiful purple flowers that come from it. I would say that my dad inspired this garden, and this video is dedicated to him. Right there you can see damage. That was from thripes, which lay little eggs, and once they hatch they kind of like are very hungry and eat your plant. A way to get rid of them is just using your hose and really spraying down the leaves. There is my dad. He's so sweet. Thank you, Father, for giving me something to focus on of beauty instead of grief. So very thankful for my garden because I call it my healing garden. But again, those thripes, you want to definitely spray them down with a hose when you start to see damage like that. It will cause the larvae to drop on the ground and they don't get back up. So that's a way of treating them. And they only kind of last for a couple weeks and then they're dead. They're like gone. So, but the damage unfortunately lasts. But look at all this new growth I've gotten over this season. So I hope in this episode you've learned some helpful tips and tricks on how to garden or grow plants and flowers. This was a video to really encourage you to get out in your yard, go grow your own food, grow some beautiful plants, whatever makes your heart happy, and just you won't fail. And if you do, it's not a failure, it's a gain because you're learning, and it's going to just be even better next year. Imagine how much bigger our plants are going to look and be and become next year. I can't wait to reflect on that by looking back at this video. Well, I hope you enjoyed another episode with us. I am so grateful that you have spent this time with me, and have a really great rest of your day.